Welcome back to Trading 360. I'm Nicole Petalides. It's time for the Big Three, and we're live at the New York Stock Exchange for this Big Three. 3 stocks, 3 charts, 3 trades. Rick Ducat will take us through the charts. Here to take us through the trades, Alan Nuffman, Chief Market Strategist at BullseyeOption.com. Great to see you both. Alan, how are you feeling about 2025 thus far? What's going on?
Well, I love the action on the bullish side from Monday, where we made new swing lows, new multi-month lows, but rejected it and came back. So it was a test and reject, and that was the third time. So it happened December 20th, that dip, then on the 2nd of January, and then Monday took out that low. But the VIX did not make new swing highs, so that's very much a positive. And we've got this great bull flag set up in the S&P for a big boom higher if we can break out.
Wow, that is pretty exciting. What's with the moves that we're seeing in gold? I know you're talking about Goldfields in a moment, GFI. Today we have gold up $35 a troy ounce. Some of your thoughts on the gold play and your Goldfields Limited?
Well, gold itself is starting to break out. The miners have lagged behind, but they offer great risk reward. We'll talk about that. But gold itself has been between 2,500 and 2,800 now for a couple of months. 4 months. So that breakout target is 3,100. And if you look at a weekly chart, it also has a bull flag that's formed. So this 3,100 target is about 10% up above. A modest move in the right option in the right vehicle produces big gains. So what I'm looking for in Goldfields, this is a stock that's been between 13 and 19 for 1 year. It's got the leverage long accumulation that I look for, that money flow. And so the midpoint of this sideways range is 16, and we're very close to that right now. A pop above 16 should send it to the range top of 19. The way I'm looking to play it is with an in-the-money option, an April 14 call, which traded for about 2.25. It's with the stock at 15.50, that is about $1.50 in the money. So a move to the 18.50 level, this option gains 100%, and it's got 3 months of time for development. So I'm liking what I'm seeing with that bull flag. Flags are flying in the S&P and in gold as well.
Yeah, and you have some time for this as well, to your point. Let's see what Rick says about the chart, please, Rick.
Sure, good morning. And when we look at this chart, there's some pretty notable horizontal levels that stand out right away. So if we look back here, we can see that our initial high point during the past 52 weeks came in at 1897. That's about where we topped out. Once again in October, almost to the penny where we hit that same mark again. Didn't quite eclipse it though. However, we did make a significantly higher close. So that looked like it was perhaps promising here, but it was actually kind of a rug pull there, a big retreat down to all the way down here, a repeated support level that we have held on to for the most part near about 1325. So pretty noteworthy that we managed to slow the free fall so many times around the same area. So that's a pretty important point to watch to the downside. Since then, a nice rally. We have taken out all 3 of our moving averages: yellow 21-day, orange 63-day, purple 252-day, exponential moving averages. RSI has broken through its red trend line, broken through the 50 midline, and is now pushing closer toward the overbought area. So a break above that 70 threshold would be a further potentially bullish sign here. In the shorter term, right here, we had this gap level, and then we had the a level where we closed around that point repeatedly, so around 1580 or so. That would be one resistance point in the shorter term to watch. And then right about here, 1625 would be roughly there for the break even on the Allen's trade in question there. When we overlay volume profile and standard deviation channels, well, we can see that our point of control is a bit lower here, and it's very close to 2 of our moving averages. So the area around 1475 or so could be a key supportive point. To the upside, we've got our +1 standard deviation channel lining up with a series of old highs in terms of closing prices for the most part here, and when low points there after the breach to the upside did happen. So around 17 could be another upside area to watch, in addition to the area near 19 representing the highs, Nicole.
Yeah, understood, right, because those highs of 19, almost 19 back in April. So we are in this bit of an upswing. Year to date, we're up 16%. Alan, are you also watching silver too, by the way?
Yeah, we talked about silver last time I was on your Big Three. So we looked at SLV as an opportunity there. So, you know, I like what I see in the complex. And you've got to remember, this has happened against the strong dollar. So if the dollar can stop getting stronger, that could be really a catalyst for the metal sector, obviously.
Yeah, and look, SLV, by the way, is up already 6.5% this year. So that has been a good performer as well. Let's take a look at BP here, which has been on somewhat of a downtrend, $40 down to $27 and change. Has been trying to give it a go and come back. They've been cutting costs, reducing jobs. Some of your thoughts on BP?
Sorry, my camera got a little bit out of whack here, so let me fix it up here. So looking at BP, it's really a crude oil story, and we've been disappointed in crude, obviously, for a long time. It finally has made a bottom base and really kind of got everybody trapped to the short side, and now we've pushed to 80. So we've been between 65 and 85 for a couple of years as looking at crude oil. So this is a stock that's 20% off of the April highs. So it's got great risk reward, but we've been trading between 27.5 and 37 and 32.5 for many months. The breakout of that range target is 37.5. We also had bullish divergence on the November low. And so there's a number of positives. There's a PE of 8. So it's a very inexpensive stock in those terms. I'm looking at the April 28 call, trading for about $4. It's $3.50 in the money. And if the stock gets to 36, that option gains 100%.
Yeah, and look, you're feeling somewhat confident about this name, despite the fact that they're quickly trying to reduce costs and cut thousands of jobs. Maybe that will be good news ultimately. Rick, look at the chart, please.
Sure, yeah, a tough situation for anyone bullish in this name. A pretty consistent slide downward here off of this high point that we carved out near 40, then connecting these subsequent high points that get progressively lower and lower and lower. However, now we have had a situation where we did have some bullish divergence in the RSI in terms of momentum, lower closing price, but RSI made a higher level here. And you can also see the gradual acceleration in momentum. Our trend lines get steeper and steeper. Now we had a quite steep trajectory to watch here that is above that 50 midline. We have backed off a little bit from a brief trip into the overbought area here, but these highs that we established around 32, that's about the break even for the trade that Alan was discussing here. So that's one area to watch that really stands out because we topped out near the same area twice recently. So that's a point to watch here. As we overlay our other studies here, volume profile and standard deviation channels, we can see very heavy trading at these depressed levels near 29. There's a large volume node. It's not quite the point of control, which is up here. That's the area of heaviest trading of all, near 35.40. But there was many players here at these low levels here, which does suggest that there could be some kind of bottom forming. If we were to keep moving lower, I have to, just at least consider that for us. The potential would be these old lows here near 27.80, then maybe even the -1 standard deviation channel near 26.46. But the upside here, this is a key level. It's our +1 standard deviation channel, our old highs here that we formed after a gap downward, and our purple 252-day EMA. So around 33 is an upside point to watch. Then our point of control is very close to our +2 channel. So 35.50 to 36 or so would be another area to keep an eye on to the upside.
Okay, thank you for that. And, when you watch the downside, to your point, and maybe forming a bottom there, final thought on that, Alan Nuckman.
Well, he summed it up perfectly. It's in a range. So it's got support down at that low at 27.5. So I'm looking at a 28 call, which gives you the right to be long. And if it breaks out of the range, which we're looking for because we've got the money flow indicator in this stock, if it breaks out above that 32, then it sends it to 36. So this option would gain 100% if we had that breakout and that measured move to 36. So it's all about the setup for success.
Right. How about we get to Bitcoin? I mean, when you look at the iShares of Ibit in particular, and that's been such a great performer over 1 year, up 128%, the recent high of over $61. So tell me a little bit about this and where you think this could be headed.
Well, a couple of things here. Number one, I'm an old grizzled trader. I've been doing this for a long time. I'll trade anything, any direction, as long as it has liquidity. And this is a great example of the evolution of the markets. I was not a big Bitcoin trader back in the day. To my detriment, I didn't make the money that a lot of people did. But back then, it wasn't exchange guaranteed. There were multiple feeds. You didn't know what the consolidated market was, and there were a lot of concerns. Then they started trading futures. Then they started trading ETFs here, and now we've started to trade options. So now the circle is closed. So now the efficiency, the market efficiency, is there for all the hedging and risk outlay. It's all mathematically there. So looking at this, IBIT started becoming optionable, a couple of months ago, anyways. But Bitcoin itself has been trading between 90,000 and 110,000. A breakout of that range targets 130. It's another flag pattern. Just like I talked about in gold, and just like I talked about in the S&P, we've got a lot of these bull flags are set up for a big boom. In Bitcoin, the IBIT ETF has been trading between 30 and 60 for a year, and between 50 and 60, setting up this flag for itself here for the last couple of months. So a breakout of that range targets 70. I'm looking at the March 50 call. Another advantage of having all this market efficiency is that lowers volatility, makes options cheaper than they were in the past. And so the March 50 call is trading for about 9 or so. It's probably 6 or 7 in the money. Now I'm looking at a March option because of that increased cost that I'm getting less time. But you compare it to the January option, obviously, which expires Friday, which just has its intrinsic value. The February option still has some value. And so you can kind of look at this for a month and see where we go. But I like this support point. I like leaning on the 50. I like the flag, and I like Bitcoin as far as a technical pattern goes.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's take a look at the technicals here. Rick, what stands out to you for Ibit?
Yeah, definitely one that's worth discussing. A lot of potential catalysts on the horizon here for cryptocurrency in general. And it's an interesting chart, too. So backtracking a little bit here, we can see that we had a notable high point here at this gray line near about 42.08. And then the general action of price was kind of a cup and handle type shape. You can see we had a very gradual bottoming out and a very gradual rally again. We hit resistance right at the area that we marked the previous high. We had a brief pullback, and then we continued up in that direction. So that's the cup shape. There's the handle shape. It played out in this case how the bulls would have wanted it to exactly here. So now we can see, though, momentum has backed off a little bit. We had this high point that we carved out right here in tandem with these highs, but from there we saw some bearish divergence between RSI and price. We did manage to make some more significant new highs, though, but things did back off eventually. Now we have been fluctuating around that 50 midline for momentum between bullish and bearish momentum, but now making an attempt to break through that red trend line to the bullish side here. So also at the same time, we are very close to breaking out to the upside from our short-term price pattern here, kind of a wedge type shape, a falling wedge type shape here. Near 56 would be the mark to beat in regard to that pattern. So now when we include our other studies here, well, the obvious volume node here stands out pretty clearly at 55. You can see that we've been fluctuating around this node and around that yellow 21-day EMA for a few weeks there. So this is kind of the area to watch, kind of the pivot point you could think here. If we were to move lower, a series of lows mostly held the line near like 51.70 or so. And then this area here, the low point after our gap up, 46.53 would be another key point to watch. To the upside, though, which is always more fun, is the +1 standard deviation channel pretty close by near 58.17, then those old highs near 61.75, then the +2 channel near 66.78. And that 59 level, I believe that was Allen's break even or so. That would be like right around there. So not looking for too big of a bounce, basically looking for a return to those highs.
Okay, thank you for that, Rick. Great to see you. Thank you for all those charts, very specific charts. Alan, we'll give you the final thought here.
Well, I still think there's a lot more upside in Bitcoin. Follow the money and follow the, how shall we say politely, the pulpit pressure. The pressure is going to be to have the stock market succeed and for Bitcoin to have another boom, I'm sure.
Okay, good to see you both. Thank you so much, Alan Nuckman, Rick Ducat here on the Big Three today. Happy New Year as well.